All right, I'm gonna show you how to mount a tubeless road tire. The technique is really a little different. I know a lot of people are concerned about being able to mount and unmount their tubeless road tires, and it's a new thing. It's totally different than the way we used to mount clinchers. The technique makes all the difference, I would say, and you know, we do our best to make sure that our wheels are really well toleranced, and they are. We have really stringent QC to make sure that the diameters are just perfect and all that. But the reality is tubeless tires are harder to mount than clinchers. And that's purposeful because the way that they interface with the wheel is different. On a clincher, you have a hook on the rim, and the hook retains the tire bead. On tubeless, it's much like a car where the bed of the rim has a deep channel in the middle and two shoulders, and the pressure of the air forces the tire bead over those shoulders and locks it onto the rim. So with that in mind, everything is tighter tolerance and it is harder to mount, which is really a safety feature. I'm gonna show you how I mount a tubeless tire onto a tubeless or hookless wheel. You got your wheel, you got your tire. This is a Vittoria Corsa Pro. The wheel is taped, ours come taped. Make sure that your tubeless valve core is pretty snug. You don't want it to wobble at all. There's a seal on a valve. You don't want this to be loose. You don't want air to escape here. So you have to compress this little rubber grommet on the tubeless valve a little bit. And then you're gonna mount your tire. So get your logos lined up if that matters to you. I like the Vittoria with the valve stem. And then you're gonna start mounting. And while you're mounting, you wanna make sure that you're getting the bead into this center channel, the deep part of the rim. That's really important. That's gonna give you the slack that you need to get the tire over. So you kind of just go around, recheck, make sure that you've got the bead in that center channel, and then boom, goes right over. If you have the bead on the shoulder is a larger diameter and you won't have enough slack and you'll never be able to pull the bead over. For good reason. If you don't have the bead in the center channel, it's just not gonna be possible. So then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna start by getting the second bead into the center channel. And as I go, I'm just making sure, okay, yep, it's in the center channel. That way I'm making sure I have as much slack as possible. You're gonna push this over. Now, if you get to this point, this is gonna be the hardest part of mounting the tire. If you need a tire lever, we really like the Pedros. It's kind of the classic. Every bike shop has them. They work really well. These Corsa Pros are pretty easy to mount, so no tire lever needed on there. I'm gonna inflate this with a standard hand pump, or floor pump, I should say. Good floor pump is really important. This is a Silca-Terra. It's a high volume pump rather than a high pressure pump. So that's gonna mean that it moves more air with every pump you make. And that makes it easier to inflate tires. So we'll give this a shot, see if we can get it to seat. All right, so you heard that, maybe you heard it, very little click, click. And that is the bead of the tire going over the shoulder of the rim. So you can hear no leaking, it's fully seated. You can tell it's seated, and that's seated at about 50 PSI, so not very much pressure. It's fully seated. You can see that all the way around, the bead is kind of even height with the rim, both sides. And then to check that it's seated, and because you're gonna put sealant in this, you need to let all the air out. So let a little pressure out. Grab your valve core tool. All right, and so you can see that the tire is still fully seated. The beads are on the shoulders. You know, nothing came out, nothing came loose. So this tire is seated, and if you're ready to, you can put sealant in. You'll use an injector tool of some sort or a squeeze bottle. To unmount your tubeless tire, I know people get worried about this. Hasn't happened to me in a while, but sometimes it does. You get a flat that you just cannot plug or repair on the side of the road. If that happens and you need to put a patch in or you need to put a tube in, you got to be able to get your tire off. So same process in reverse. You're going to use your fingers, push the bead away, off the shoulder, go all the way around, push that bead back in the center channel, flip the tire, go to the other side. And I like to use a lever to unmount the tire, especially road tires, because they're a little snug. Pretty standard. You're going to pull that over, hold it in place with your thumb, just gently pull around. That bead came off. So at this point, if you're going to put a tube in, you can do that. If you need to put a plug in, you can do that. You don't have to fully take the tire off to get a plug or tube in. I wouldn't recommend it either. But if you need to unmount it, just comes right off.